It. Hello and welcome to this week's.
Right, I'm admitting. Ready?
What are you admitting?
Everybody.
That's a joke. Don't admit to it, Laura. Hello, everyone. Oh, is anyone here yet? Oh, it's so nice to see everyone. I so much prefer it than when they're like this, rather than just when you have no idea who you're talking to.
Yeah, although I've set it up so I can only see your face.
My face?
Yeah, because there's too much stuff on the screen. Okay, so just getting the stragglers in. I think I've set it up so that everyone should be automatically on mute, but if you are not, could you make yourself...
I can hear someone having eaten crisps.
I'm on it.
You muted me. You've muted yourself, you idiot. You're... Mate, can you stop muting me? Taking away my voice. You've muted yourself.
It's not me.
I haven't muted. Right.
Don't you love how professional? Becky Ryan, did you mean to mute yourself, Becky Ryan?
Right. Okay. It's 4 minutes past.
Okay, let's give another...
The sound is very intermittent.
No, I think it's just because we kept muting each other by accident.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, Lisa can't hear anything. Okay, have you got your sound turned up, Lisa? Okay, well, we're not saying anything right now. We should probably do that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Turn your sound on so you can hear us, but mute yourselves.
Mute yourselves.
You wouldn't mind, because there's lots of you here. So even just with a few people unmuted, it's going to cause problems with listening in.
We usually do these over... I say we usually do them like we do them a lot. We don't. But we usually do them when we do them over webinar. So it's not as like personal as this, is it? This is really fun.
Yes.
This is a good way to do it. It's nice to be able to see people's faces as well.
It is. Yeah, I think people are coming in muted. So you should be all right. All right, should we crack on? It's 5 minutes past.
Oh, mate, let's crack on.
Okay, so we've got Becky Ryan helping us out on the tech side. Thank you, BR. We will say next slide when we're ready to move, but we're just staying on this one for a short while. The first note that I have written down is make sure you are recording, which I am.
You've nailed that one. Well done.
Nailed that. So just bear in mind that if you do come off mute, whatever you have, whether you've got your photo or your face, that will appear on the screen on the recording. But feel free to interact with us in the chat box, and we'll be asking you some questions all throughout. So where to begin? All right, so at the end of the session, we just want to spend a couple of minutes telling you about the support that we offer to this community. It'll only take a couple of minutes, but yeah, we hope that's okay with you. Just wanted to say, if you want to take any screenshots of anything that's helpful, want to share anything on your socials, then feel free to, and we'd love it if you could tag us. Yes. Did you just mute me, Becky Ryan?
Someone muted you. That really scared me because I wasn't looking at the Zoom anymore.
Playing silly beggars.
Feedback. We're 100% here for feedback. Bex mentioned that we don't do this very often, but we have done it a few times, and we are always... Muted again. Can you hear me? I think the feedback might be stop muting yourself while you're trying to talk. Um,
That's definitely my feedback.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, just we're here for feedback. Email us at info@twgge.co.uk if you have anything that you would like to share with us, anything that was good, anything that we could improve on. That would be amazing. Over to you, Bex.
right. I'm not going to look at this screen anymore. So I'm worried that if I mute myself by accident, I'm not going to know. So
I've got you.
okay, thanks, mate. Thanks.
You're the one that's muting us.
Okay. So Laura and I both have experience of loss, and we wanted to start telling you a little bit about that. If you haven't followed us for a long time, or you don't know us, or you've seen this session advertised somewhere and you thought, yeah, that's for me, but you don't know much about the worst girl gang ever and how we started, we're just going to give you a really small, short overview. You know how I love a chat, so someone cut me off when I said too much. So back in May 2020, I went to the 12-week scan of my baby, only to be told that there was no heartbeat. And I had, at that point, I had 3 children, and I had no idea that I would be someone who would suffer miscarriage. I thought you either were or you weren't. And I realized how ignorant and naive I was about the whole thing. And for the most intense part of it for me was the pain that I felt and the grief that I felt, and because no one talks about it, and it was an early miscarriage, considered an early miscarriage, I just didn't really know where to go, and I started feeling that my grief was disproportionate to my loss. I didn't know how to deal with it because I didn't have anyone to turn to. So I decided to write about it. And the writing that I did, I sent it off to the Metro newspaper, and I also put it online on a Facebook, like public Facebook group. And basically it really sort of snowballed and sort of went viral. And I just got contacted by literally thousands of women saying, yeah, I'm in so much pain, this happened to me. Or even women saying this happened to me 50 years ago, or, you know, this happened to me 10 years ago, and I still think about my due date, and I never forget these things. And I was like, gosh, this is massive. Like, no one's talking about this, and everyone needs this support. Everyone is struggling still with this historic loss, or these early losses, or whatever they happen to be struggling with nowhere to go. So basically, I wanted to create something, and I created like a Facebook support group, and overnight it sort of gained so much traction. I had a couple of thousand people join, and that's when I met Laura.
Yes. And I'd been living in the baby loss community for I think it was about 7 or 8 years at the time, and been through lots of different types of recurrent loss, but all early ones, all before 12 weeks, molar pregnancies, ectopic pregnancies, chemical pregnancies. I did quite well at the old baby loss bingo. But what I found was really difficult was similar to Bex, that there wasn't really much support out there. So we decided to put our heads together and come up with something that could help us in our grief, but also provide some sort of solidarity and support for other people. Personally, the thing that helped me the most was talking to people who had been through something similar. And so we got talking about it, we created the podcast, and then that was a few years ago, and things have sort of spiraled since then.
Yeah.
But we wanted to come and talk today about early loss because it's where both of our experiences lie, but also it's just a really tough kind of loss to go through. It's totally devastating and completely misunderstood. So we'll crack on and talk about it, talk about why and how it's so invalidating, and then we'll move on to the more important stuff about what we do about it, how we move forward, how we live life after early loss. Okay,
Yes.
next slide, please, Becky Ryan.
Someone's already said it takes us back to the COVID days. It so does. Chris Whitton. We need one of those clickers.
That's it. Okie dokie.
Right.
All right.
Right. So raise your hand. There's a, you know, the raise your hand button in Zoom. Raise your hand if you have felt or you've been made to feel like your loss didn't count.
Raise your hand or do a heart emoji, whatever suits.
Yeah.
Stick something in the chat.
Yeah. Look at all those hands. Like, that's insane. That is insane. Right. I've got to get back to my, I came to see all the hands, but I've got to navigate my way back to my other screen. Bear with.
Well, as you can see, I mean, most importantly, number one on that page is
If
that you're
you
not
were-
alone, and you
yeah.
can see.
If you're struggling with the grief of early miscarriage, you're absolutely not alone. You know, there's unbelievable silence throughout society because we don't hear the experience being talked about. No one knows what to do about it. You know, miscarriage is still so taboo. It's brushed under the carpet. And there's this huge misconception that if your baby died during pregnancy, it didn't count. Your baby existed over only to you. And there's no stronger belief in that than in early loss. You know, we're not allowed to talk about it before 12 weeks. So if the loss happens before 12 weeks, suddenly you feel like you're completely on your own, because often you haven't shared your news, and therefore it feels too strange to share your news and then sort of retract it. So you feel completely alone in your grief, and everyone is sort of passing you by and acting like normal and sort of moving on, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, the reason it's like this is because of society, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's the societal, like, if for decades we haven't talked about it, and when we don't talk about it, no one wants to talk about it. And when you look at people who do talk about it, like Meghan Markle and stuff, they're putting their heads above the parapet, but they're getting shot down because it's either being labeled as a private matter that shouldn't be shared, or, you know, people are saying that it's, but again, I said before, the 12-week scam, people are saying that you shouldn't share it because it's unlucky, or there's so many different like reasons that this news is not, the whole thing is not being talked about. But if it was talked about, then we would know where to go for help. It's so hard to get the help we need when these things are not openly discussed and part of conversation and educated on.
Yeah. Oh, it's really sad, some of the stuff I'm seeing in the chat. Someone said that Louise said people have stopped checking in, despite still really struggling, and that people feel uncomfortable when talking to them.
And that's the thing, isn't it?
That
the reason that, you know, people don't talk about it because they don't feel comfortable. People really struggle, and it's not really their fault, because again, we're not taught how to deal with this grief. We're not taught about it at school. We're not taught about it as young adults. So no one knows quite how to deal with it. And we really struggle to see other people in pain, especially the people that we love. So we kind of like gloss over it, or we do those horrible, oh, at least this or at least that, you know. It's like a discomfort in other people. It's not, we wish that we could make people realize how it's so much easier to deal with ourselves when someone is there with you, rather than someone just telling you to look on the bright side of life. When someone's actually there with you saying, I'm sorry, this is so shit, it's so much more validating, isn't it? I'm going to talk a bit more about validation later.
Yeah, and a bit more about other people shortly. But number 3, we know that it feels like for everyone else that they've moved on and they've forgotten about it. And sometimes this can even happen with your partner. They can be back to normal, plodding on with life, or seemingly anyway, and you just feel very left behind in your grief and judged because you're still not over it. And then you start thinking, should I be over it? Am I meant to be back to normal? But we're here to tell you that you can't go back to normal. What you've been through is something so life-changing and traumatic, and it's just it becomes part of you. But don't worry, we will talk more about how you carry that.
Oh,
Not me.
Can you unmute her?
How you carry that with you, and
Oh, there she
how
is.
you can carry on doing life, having been through these experiences. Number 4, we know that you haven't just lost a baby. Just pop in the chat what you feel you've lost. Often we talk about people losing their confidence, their ability to trust the world. That's a biggie. But there are so many things. Often for me, I'd fall pregnant at the same time as someone that I knew and someone that I wanted to be pregnant with and wanted to have a maternity leave with and things like that. And they'd end up having their baby and I would, not. And yeah, for me, that was a biggie. That was something that I felt that I really missed out on.
I think it's really interesting, and I think a couple of people have said it in the chat as well. It's that confidence in a world that you thought you knew so well. Like when we are kids, when so many of us were little girls, right? We got given babies, dolls, and we push them around in buggies and stuff. And at that point, our narrative was that we would grow up and when we wanted a baby, we would become a mum. And that was, the Disney narrative, I suppose. So really, you don't fall pregnant when you have sex and you get that positive pregnancy test. You become a mother sometimes almost in a way like when you start that role play. So when we lose our baby early on in pregnancy, that is all ripped away from us, and that experience of being just that mum in our childhood is now false, because it didn't happen like that. In reality, it didn't happen like we believed it should. And certainly for me, I sort of started thinking, oh my God, if this is wrong, like what else is wrong? It felt like the world had sort of tipped on its axis a bit, and I didn't understand how to operate in it anymore. And I never expected that. That was a real sort of difficult one for me to deal with.
Just some of the things that I've seen in the chat. Fun sex, missing out on that. Honestly, that's one of the things that definitely goes. Sex can become, well, first of all, if you're trying again, it can become very regimented and not much fun. But then also it can be quite emotional and traumatic, and it can take a long time to sort of rekindle that spark again. Also, people have said they lost faith in their body, which I think a lot of people can relate to. They lost friends, lost trust in health professionals. Well, there's all sorts there. I hope, though, that you guys that are watching, that can see the chat, I know it's terribly sad to see that so many people are going through this, but I hope that it makes you realise that you're not alone in any of this, and none of the feelings that you have are abnormal. And from talking to people in this community, it's just so special to be able to relate to people and know that other people get it too. BR, next slide, please.
Okay.
So I've seen a few of these phrases pop up in the chat already, but raise your hand if you've heard one or more of these phrases, and I want to know which one is your pet hate. Some of these things might be phrases that other people have said to you, but also some of them might be things that you've said to yourself. And we were talking about this, was it yesterday, Bex, the other day? We were talking about how for those of you who've got brothers, we're allowed to slag off our own brothers because brothers are dicks, right, most of the time. But if anyone else dares slag off our brother, well then, more fool them, because that's just rude. It's not allowed. It's quite similar. We'll tell ourselves to comfort ourselves and sort of try and make sense of a loss that, or maybe it wasn't meant to be, everything happens for a reason. And if that brings you comfort, say it to yourself, that's okay. But we don't want to hear that from other people.
No, it's really hard. I remember someone saying to me, it's just not your time. And I was like, fuck off.
When is then?
What my time is.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. It's just, yeah, it's really painful. But the thing is, what it might help you to try and remember is that people don't do it because they're arseholes. Generally speaking, 99% of people are not arseholes when they say
Some
things.
of them are, definitely.
Some of them are just dicks. I mean, that's life though, isn't it? Don't
Yeah.
be. But some of them are dicks. We'll have to draw a line under them. That's it. But most of them, 99% of them, are saying these things because they genuinely think that they will comfort you, right? So we were talking about it earlier. No one knows how to deal with this. No one knows what to say. So people come and they search their sort of mental filing cabinets for the tab on like what to say when someone's lost a baby, and they go and they see that file is empty. They don't know what to do. So they whack on a platitude plaster, and they'll say something, oh, at least it was early, or at least you know you can get pregnant, or at least you've already got children, thinking that they are helping you to look on the bright side of life, right? But what they don't know is that when you have lost your baby, there is no bright side of life. The worst thing has happened. And they don't understand this because most people that say these things haven't been through it. But what they really struggle with is seeing us in pain. And they're trying to make light of it almost for them as well as for us, because it's uncomfortable to witness someone in pain. And it's that, again, it's that societal thing. We're not used to it. We're not educated in it. We don't know how to deal with it. So we try and cover it up. And what we really, really need to do, and what we need to be able to explain to people, is that covering it up does not work. So what we need to do is ditch these plasters and let the wound start to heal.
Exactly that. Next slide, please, BR. We know that these experiences are incredibly triggering and difficult. We can't erase what happened, but what we can do, what we're here for today, is to help you to fill in the gaps around this awful experience to make life seem a little easier. Bex has been talking about her emotional toolbox. I wonder when it was first mentioned, but it must be almost 3 years ago now. But she has been banging on about it for a long time.
I do love emotional toolbox.
And this is what we're going to provide you with today, a little bit of an emotional toolbox. So Bex, tell us about it.
Okay. So your emotional toolbox is basically full of tools that help you cope, that help you rationalize things. And it's so important because we can't change the way we feel. Ultimately, we cannot change this experience we're going through. We cannot change the experience happening for other people further down the road. But what we absolutely can do is arm ourselves against it. We can resource ourselves, and we can learn tips, techniques, coping mechanisms so that we can become more resilient. And it's, you know, the world is happening to us every single day, and our resilience is what means we either cope or we don't cope at any given time. And that resilience is made up of things like what we're eating, how we're sleeping, what sort of things we're practicing. Like we're going to go on and talk about this a bit more, but what sort of creative things we're practicing, like gratitude and journaling, all that sort of stuff. If we are doing all of these things for ourselves, we will be more resilient to the wanky comments like, at least it was early. We can't do anything about those comments, and we will go to office parties and be asked like, oh, how many children do you have? Oh, tell me about your there must be, you know, do I hear the patter of tiny feet when you just got married? All that stuff. We can't change any of that. So what we definitely need to do is fill up this emotional toolbox with things to harden our surface, things to make us cope, and things so when those comments come, instead of piercing us and, you know, shattering our already bruised heart, it will just bounce off our armor. And that is what we're going to explore now.
Yeah. Next slide, please, Becky Ryan. So this is what Bex mentioned earlier about taking time to process your loss. You can't skip it. You can, But if you do,
Oh.
it'll come back and bite you in the bum.
I've got an analogy about this, mate. Do you want to hear it?
Go on, go for it.
So if you're a surgeon,
Oh, not this one. Oh, hold tight, people. Hope you're sitting comfy.
right? If you're a surgeon,
Mm-hmm.
you can't go and operate on someone like tomorrow, right? You don't know how to do it. You need to go through the learning process of like university, to go through all of that in order to operate on someone. So in order to get to the other side of where you're going, you need to go through it.
Yeah, I mean, another analogy could be a tunnel, right? Honestly,
Yeah.
guys, I have heard this analogy hundreds of times, and I still don't really get it.
I just think the surgeon is like, because when you're a surgeon, it's really important that you go through what you need to go through.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is.
More important than a tunnel, isn't it?
Well, it depends. And driving through a river wouldn't be much fun.
Yeah. But it is like, who remembers the bear hunt story from when they're a kid? You can't go over it, you can't go under it. You've got to go through it. So think about the bear hunt.
Yeah. We suggest you give your loss, your baby, your trauma, give this all the time and space that it deserves. We know that it is easier said than done, but the trouble is we let it be our grief journey be dictated by like outside factors, such as, oh shit, I've already had my week off work, I've got to go back now, got to get on with it, put my game face on, or if you've got other children, you think, oh, I've got to be over it because I've got to look after the kids, or whatever it may be.
Or if you've got, if your parents are of that generation where they don't think it's a problem, they think it's an experience you should just get over, then you end up sometimes like putting on the brave face and just going, oh yeah, I'm fine, yeah, I know, yeah, I'm fine, because you feel like you need to suppress your grief because it doesn't count for other people. It's a really, really tricky one. And do you know what I think the hardest thing is? Sitting with your own grief, because again, we were never taught to do that. We were never taught. And personally, I used alcohol to get away from it because, and I know that I speak for a lot of people, I find emotion really painful, really, really painful. And actually, if we could sit with that emotion, we'll get through it quicker. Because as we were saying, if you don't sit with it, you suppress it, you don't let it out, it will come back later, harder, more painful, and even more kind of out of the blue. And I think the word triggers is such a sort of buzzword now, and it's personally, I think it's quite overused. And when you're truly triggered by something down the road, it's like the absolute floodgates open, and it's so unbelievably painful. So the best way to do things is to just allow yourself to process this grief, allow yourself to feel it, allow yourself to fucking cry and scream and shout, the different stages of all the anger. Oh, the anger. Just fucking put Alanis Morissette on and take a bat to a bush outside. I don't know what you do, something violent.
Bat to a bush. I've heard about smashing teacups.
Yeah. Go down the charity shop and get a load of old china and then just smash it with a golf ball.
Make sure you check that it's not really expensive stuff first. But yeah. It's good to get it all out. But sometimes it can be difficult to find the right people or the space in which to really deal with these emotions. But that's something else that we're going to move on to. But
some of the ways that we have processed and ways that we know are really helpful in processing are journaling, writing, talking, and sharing. So when it comes to writing stuff down, you might find it really difficult. And if you Google journal prompts, you will find so many. And it's just a case of putting pen to paper and seeing what happens. But when we write, often, if you write about your experience, this is what I did, you write about your experience and it all starts to come tumbling out. It is incredibly cathartic. And then when you talk about it and share about that experience within this community, and we do within our membership area, we have Zooms every single week where people can just come along and share their experience. it's a twofold thing, because when you share it, it's really cathartic and you end up getting loads off your chest and you always feel better, and you sometimes cry and you get angry and all that good stuff. It just really helps. But when you are supporting someone else, so you're listening to the story of someone else, if you can identify with that story, and if that person is further along in their grief process than you get that sense of hope, because you can see that they are okay, that they are coming out the other side of that deep, deep pain. And you know then that might happen for you as well. And the other thing is, when you hear your experience in the story of someone else, you realize that you're not alone, because you're really, really, really not alone through this.
Yeah, that's just so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
BR.
Next slide, please.
Okay, so telling people what you need from them. This can be really tricky. And we know that we shouldn't, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have to do this. But the fact is, people don't know what to do. So in order to make our lives a little bit easier, if we can tell them, then yeah, it will make things just that tiny bit easier. So we can look at this from an immediate support perspective. So what do you need straight up? So you've just been through loss. Do you need support? Do you need company? Do you need space? Or what about in the future? Talking about triggers, do you want to know about things that might trigger you? Do you want friends and family to be upfront about announcements and their own fertility journeys, for example? Or would you rather not know? But we know that ultimately people do and say the wrong things, but it's usually for the right reasons. There aren't too many dicks out there. There are a few, but like Beck said, most people just want to be able to support us. So also, we've mentioned before, friends and family members who haven't experienced baby loss won't necessarily know how to be around us, and in particular how to share their pregnancy news with you. So we've just got a poll that we're going to pop up. We want to know how you would prefer to find out about a friend's pregnancy. And we've talked about this personally on podcasts, and we've chatted to lots of people on our support platforms over the years and on the courses. And we've always found that face-to-face announcements are probably the hardest way for anyone to hear this kind of news. You just get caught off guard. And I know I've mentioned this before. I used to do this really sort of flamboyant, over the top, oh my God, congratulations, because I wanted to somehow hide that I was so bloody upset and secretly hated them a little bit. But yeah, there's sort of, you can't hide from it with a face-to-face announcement.
No, it's interesting here, this is very reflective of what we found as well, is that most people are saying via a private message, because it gives you the chance to deal with it in your own time a bit, doesn't it? And sort of compose yourself.
Exactly.
And say whatever you want to say at a later date. But anyway, we've recorded a podcast specifically for friends and family, because we know as well that sometimes it's really difficult to talk to your friends and family. It's really difficult to say what you want to say to them. It's really difficult to tell them that they're not being helpful. So we've made a friends and family podcast episode. We're actually just about to record a new one, an updated one. And this is literally something you can send a link to your friends and family and say, look, this is what we're going through. I would like you to listen to this podcast episode. These girls, they swear a lot, they sing sometimes, but what they're saying is how I feel. And when we recorded the episode, we're basically talking to your friends and family, and we're saying, look, this is really difficult because sometimes we feel like this, but then on other days we might not. So this is what we recommend doing. And it's just, we say it so you don't have to. It lets you off the hook. So that's a good thing to look up on our podcast to send to friends and family if you're someone that wants to share but doesn't want to do it yourself.
Yeah, I wonder, Becky Ryan, if you or any of the other MFs that are on, if any of you can find it and pop it in the chat a few times, that'd be amazing. Okay, next slide, Becky Ryan. Sorry, very demanding of you here.
It's so demanding. Thank you. Lucky she's got her shit together. Right. This is all about boundaries, people. You have to put yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup, okay? I have been a fucking people pleaser my entire life, right? And it has got me nowhere very fast. I have had like proper breakdowns and like complete exhaustion and burnouts and stuff, because you cannot resource other people if you are not resourced. So the way that we keep ourselves resourced is doing all the stuff that we talked about before. Like I think we're going to talk about it in a bit later. If there's nothing up, then I'm going to talk about it later, and you can take it on board or not. It's up to you. But like the creative stuff is a really, really, really good way to resource yourself. But it's basically anything. How to resource yourself is anything that requires no output and maximum input. So if you imagine yourself like a solar panel, that's what you want to be. You're not putting out anything, but you're absorbing everything. So it's stuff like, if you live by the sea, this is me because I live by the sea, taking your book and reading by the sea is just such a nice thing to do for you. And boundaries are absolutely essential for maintaining or creating good mental health. So it is 100% okay to protect yourself and emotions. It's not just okay, it's absolutely necessary. And sometimes we do need to withdraw slightly to create some space between ourselves and the people or situations that can trigger our really ugly feelings in order to maintain our good mental health. We can decline the fucking baby shower invite. Don't go. Don't sit there and eat a chocolate bar out of a nappy. I mean, it's the most horrendous thing I can think of doing anyway. Don't do it. Don't answer the phone to your mother-in-law if you don't want to talk to her. You don't have to. And if you make a plan on one day, right, and you say, oh God, yeah, okay, I'll go out with you next Tuesday. Yeah, I will. And then Tuesday you don't want to do it anymore. Don't do it anymore. We are so, I think it's like a real UK thing as well. But we feel so like duty bound, and we really shouldn't. We absolutely shouldn't. We need to start looking after ourselves. It's not selfish, because if we look after ourselves and we are good, our heart energy is high, we can then look after other people, and we can be good friends, and we can be good daughters and sisters and whoever needs us. But we can't do that if we're not looking after ourselves and we're not doing what we need to do to keep our heads above the water.
Yeah. Talking about boundaries, we've got another poll here. We wanted to find out if you have done any of the following. If you have declined the invite, left the WhatsApp group, unfollowed on socials, that kind of thing. We're here to give you permission to do all of those things.
Yeah, do it.
You can get away without going to all of these things. You can, I mean, Beck says you shouldn't lie, but I say, mate, if you want to lie, just lie.
No, I didn't say you shouldn't lie. I said don't get caught up in your lies.
Make sure you remember your lies. You
keep saying, oh, just say that the dog's got the shits, and I'm like, well, you can't if you don't have a dog. Like, be choosy about your lies. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
and
it's
also
true.
You don't need to lie, right? You've done nothing wrong. So you can just say, I'm really sorry, I'm just not feeling up to it. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with
but sometimes it's easier to say I've got a migraine.
Yeah.
Fair. It's up to you.
Up to you.
What you can do instead, and what we've done is we've said, look, I'm sorry, this christening is just a bit too much for me considering everything we've just been through. How about we go out another day, or can I pop round and see your kid another day, and I've got a present for them. The christening's a bit much for me. But these events don't come very often, usually. What is trickier than these is getting through normal day-to-day life with the whole world sat inside your phone. So if you need to leave the WhatsApp groups, then do it. You don't have to say anything, but you can. Isn't that what the police say? You do not have to say anything.
Unless you wish to do so. But also you can say, like, in a WhatsApp group, you don't have to French exit and just go and, you know, like it's really awkward. It's like, oh, Beck's gun has left the conversation, left the group or whatever. And then you wonder then you immediately think everyone is slagging you off behind your back. But you can just write a note and say, hi guys, I'm taking a break from WhatsApp groups. Like everyone wants to take a break from WhatsApp. I hate WhatsApp groups. That's fine. Just do that. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You and your mental health is the most important thing here. So please, please stop caring about what other people think, because it's none of your business and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Becky Ryan, next slide, please. Bex, you've already covered this a little bit, I think.
Oh, hang on. I forgot that Becky Ryan doesn't control my personal slides, so I need to move on. Oh, do the things you love. Yes. This is where I was banging on about the old creativity things. Find joy elsewhere in your love. Okay, we cannot change the way we feel, but what we can do is work on ourselves, and the way we feel will change. And I promise you, I am living, breathing proof of this. Okay, so start looking up hobbies, start doing things like, you know, like things cross your mind, like, oh, knitting, like I've always wanted to learn to knit. Go and fucking learn to knit. There's so many there's nothing you can't learn to do on YouTube these days. I've just started outdoor swimming. I say I've just started, I went once last weekend. But like sea swimming or outdoor pool swimming or a running club or gardening or poetry or painting, whatever floats your boat, whatever you fancy, just do it. Because also sometimes it's not actually doing these things that helps, it's the research behind doing these things. It gives you an alternate focus, it gets you excited, it gets you passionate, and you think, God, there's so much in the world that I could do right now. And that is really, really, really going to help you, like the creative side of things, the kind of new, the exciting. It's really going to help you at this point.
Yeah, pop in the chat and tell us what you love to do. Give us some ideas. Bex, you asked me once on a podcast, what would you do? How would you have changed the way that you dealt with it? When I was in a dark place. And I always said that I don't think I could have changed the way that I dealt with it, because I wouldn't have been able to change my feelings at the time. But I bloody wish that someone had given me a shake and said, look, you can focus on other stuff. Let some of the good, the fun things in, so that your grief isn't everything about you, because it can feel so all-consuming sometimes. So
all-consuming, and especially if you're trying to conceive again, you've got the grief, and then you've got that trying to pressure and the obsession and all of that stuff. Like, just let something else in as well. Just open it, even if you don't feel strong enough to do it right now. Just open the door to it. If you're thinking about exercising and stuff, just Google couch to 5K and see what it is. You don't have to go, I'm going to be an Olympic weightlifter.
Yeah.
You can start like baby steps and just dip your toe in the water of creativity, see what happens.
Yeah. Or in the cold lake.
Or in the sea.
Becky Ryan.
Next slide, please. Okay, so number 5, connection. We are your tribe. We've got you. No shame, no judgment. Sharing your feelings with those who haven't experienced baby loss can be challenging, and ultimately, if they don't understand, it can make you feel worse and judged and horrendous. We talk all the time at the Worst Girl Gang about the ugly feelings. If you don't know what they are, we're talking about anger, jealousy, resentment, bitterness, the lack of the ability to feel joy for someone else when if they announce their pregnancy or the birth of their child. We can feel like the most horrible things. And we did a webinar on the ugly feelings a couple of months ago, and everyone feels them. Like, you're not alone. If instead of, you see a pregnancy announcement, if your first thought is not one of joy, you're absolutely not alone. We can feel the most horrible things towards other people, and sharing these things within the baby loss community is so important, because it's so bloody liberating when you say something and someone else just gets it, because not only do you feel less alone, but they feel less alone too. And you've done that for someone else. It's so important, isn't it?
It is. But just, we need to stress that although some people may have family and friends that they can talk about these sorts of feelings with, we've heard so many stories where people have been met with like not very nice responses that have made them feel worse. For me, a real turning point was, and this was several years ago now, but I reached out to this Facebook group, and there wasn't much about back then, but I was at rock bottom, and I was like, right, this is it. I hate myself, I hate my body, hate my life. How can there must be someone out there who understands how I'm feeling. And so I reached out to this Facebook group, and I just laid it all bare. And the response I got was so lovely. And it was the first time I actually felt like I'd been heard and understood. So we really do advocate for opening up and sharing your feelings.
I think the most,
particularly with other people who get it.
yeah, I think the most difficult thing, and I know that you'll agree with me because we talked about it before, Laura, is not necessarily it's not the feelings. It's the way you feel about yourself for having felt those feelings.
It's the cycle of shit.
Yeah, the never-ending cycle of shit.
You
hate yourself because you can't, and then you start to not recognize yourself anymore, do you? You're thinking, oh my God, I can't believe, like, my best friend just told me she was pregnant and I thought, you fucking arsehole. Like, that's what I thought, you know?
Well, I mean, I went to counselling, didn't I? I've only been to therapy once, but the one time I went was because not because I'd been through at this stage like 5 pregnancy losses. It was because I hated my sister-in-law and I wanted some help to not hate her.
Yeah, and you just feel like you completely lost yourself. You just feel like, who am I? Who even am I? How can I be this horrible monster woman? You know?
Yeah. We really hope that what we've just whizzed through, and sorry, we did do it very fast because we wanted to give some time at the end, but we hope that it's been helpful. We just want to give you all an opportunity, if you would like it, for connection very shortly. But first of all, like I mentioned at the beginning, we just want to run through the support that we have on offer, and then we will be opening up the breakout rooms. Becky, Ryan, next slide, please.
To the left. Sorry.
Okie dokie. The warriorship.
Okay, so we used to run courses for a specific part of your journey. We ran them for 6 weeks. They were the pathway to recovery, which is for the deep grief following your loss, trying to conceive after loss, which is sort of, that's what it says on the tin, and pregnancy after loss. And although they were unbelievably popular and everyone who came on them loved them, they really did represent excellent value for money, they were still quite pricey at £225 per course. Because of the time it took us to put them together and run them, create them, and all the experts, obviously, we had to put that higher price tag on them. And whenever we asked people what was stopping them from signing up, they said it was the cost.
Yeah, but we have always wanted to, right from the very beginning, we wanted to provide support for as many people as possible. And we want it to be accessible to everyone. So what we've done is we've taken all of the courses and put it all into one membership platform. So instead of being there for 6 weeks during that specific part of your journey, we are now there constantly and can support people right from the very first day they get that bad news, right through to the end of their journey, however that may look. You'll see on the slide that we've got 2 new courses coming, parenting and parenting after loss, but also ending your fertility journey. So we're really pleased to be bringing those new courses.
This is the emotional toolbox that we've been building up for the last 3 years. And also, it's not just, it's a guide for life. This is the resilient, this will help you build the resilience that I was talking about earlier. We've been through this shit and we're creating the new futures together. We absolutely cannot go back to who we were before we lost our baby. And we need to accept that. It's really hard because I know so many of you there, that's all you'll be wanting. You'll just be thinking, I just want to go back to where I was. And unfortunately, it isn't possible. But what is possible is something so incredibly special. Like, you can grow from this experience. And I know some of you are probably telling me to fuck off right now, and that's fine. But there are so many things about yourself that you can discover. And I know for me, there was this whole sort of program that we run, and this emotional toolbox that we've put together has helped me personally in so many other areas of my life, as well as the grief around my baby loss. And we run so much. I can't remember if there's another, hang on, let me just check. Yes, no. So we run these we were talking about these creative therapies. We run a creative therapy every month. We've got educational stuff every month. We've got a weekly Zoom. We have like between 12 and 15 live sessions a month that are a mix of education and support and peer-to-peer support. So there is so much involved in this membership, and we would absolutely love for you to come and be a part of it.
Yeah, Becky, Ryan. So we have got a special offer at the moment. It's usually £25 per month to be a member, but until Tuesday next week, we are offering an annual membership at £175. It's 42% discount on what it would be if you were to pay £25 monthly.
But you can also still join at £25 a month.
Both options are available. The link is in the chat if anyone wants to go and have a little look at it further. But yeah, both options are there. And if there's any current members here, I've seen a few people writing something, but just tell us what you love most about it. And it can be quite daunting for someone who isn't a member thinking about it, and yeah, just pop a couple of lines in and let them know what you love most about it.
We're so incredibly proud of it, and we know that you will be too, and you'll love it too. And it's basically, Laura and I put it together because it's what we would have wanted when we were going through it.
Yeah, we'd love you to come and check it out.
Okay, next, most importantly, slide to the left. Right, Laura's going to go and do the breakout rooms.
Aye.
So we just have a couple of rules. So you can keep your cameras off. That's absolutely fine. Please, obviously, respect what others have to say. No argy-bargies, obviously. Be conscious of your sharing time so that everyone has the opportunity to speak if they do want to. This is completely confidential, and other people's stories should not be repeated outside of this safe space. If you see anyone you know, obviously don't put anything on social media about these personal stories. And for the purpose of this session, please avoid talking about living children, current pregnancies, and trying to conceive, just because we know how triggering that is, and we know that there's a lot of vulnerable ladies here. So please don't talk about any of those things. And number 6, obviously, be kind / don't be a dick.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's no dicks here.
We usually, Bex mentioned earlier, we host weekly drop-in sessions on the Warriorship, and there we have breakout rooms with themes, so we're able to separate people out so that they can talk about their living children and their pregnancies and things like that. But for the purpose of tonight, because we didn't know exactly how many people were coming, and we've not got a ton of people to help us, if you wouldn't mind sticking to those rules, that would be really good. I'm about to open the breakout rooms. You should be automatically asked to go to one, so it's being done at random. We will call you all back. You'll feel free to leave if you need to, but we will give you until about 9:25. So bear in mind, you'll have about half an hour. So see how many people are in your room, split up the time so that you will get enough time to talk should you wish to, and then we'll call you back just to say cheerio at the end. If anyone wants to hang around here and not go into a breakout room and to ask any questions about the Warriorship, then feel free to. So yeah, here goes.
Did it work?
Huh?
Has it worked?
I think so.
Oh yeah, it has.
Yeah, there's a lot of you, so it might take a minute or two. I should have said, has everyone gone into, not everyone's gone into the rooms, have they? Or have they?
Just about, there's about 20 people still left.
I should have said that what goes on in the breakout rooms won't be recorded. I'm just going to broadcast that so that everyone hears.
Are you going to do it with your voice?
Yes.
Oh, good luck, mate.
Hi guys. Hopefully you can hear this. I don't know if you can. Oh no, hang on. Hi guys, hopefully you can hear this. This is Laura. Just wanted to let you know that what was I going to say? Oh yeah, talking in the rooms, that bit isn't recorded. So just for some reassurance, don't worry, your confidentiality is not being breached. And we will hopefully try and pop round and see everybody, check that you're all doing okay. See you in a bit.
Well done, mate. That was smooth.
Yeah, really smooth. Really smooth.
Right, Becky, could you stop sharing? Hello, everyone. Does anyone have any questions about the warriorship or just generally? Anyone? Anyone?
Okay, we've got 30 rooms.
Yes. Does anybody in here who's just joined back in want to be assigned to a room where you just put your hand up or emoji? Elizabeth, I'll pop you in one then. Laura, I'll
room 29, Becky.
Room 29.
There's only a couple of people in there.
Ta-ra.
Right, I am going to, Bex, you're right here.
I'm all right.
Questions that come up, I might try and whiz through the rooms. I won't go into the ones where we've got people in there.
What?
Oh, like Katie's here, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
And
oh, I see.
Anyone else? Is it just Kate?
I think it's
Bex Henley is in one of them.
Henley.
She's in the warriorship.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Rachel's around as well. I don't, maybe not give them this week, but if you start at the top numbers and I'll start at the bottom numbers, Laura.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Yeah, we'll bring them back at 25 past. Cool.
Am I just staying here?
Yeah, unless you want me to stay here and answer any questions. It's
No,
up
it's
to you.
okay.
Okay, all right. See you in a bit.
We left there and then I had an appointment at the NHS to like confirm. That was really hard to like